Sudden loss can leave us feeling overwhelmed, disoriented, and unsure of how to begin healing. But even in the most difficult moments, there are gentle ways to respond, tools to ease emotional surges, and mindsets that can help us move forward. To help us navigate grief and trauma, specialist Dr. Jennifer Levin is here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Such an important discussion, so I really appreciate you being here. It's hard to know kind of where to begin when discussing grief in general, so I guess that's normal though.
Absolutely. As a society, we are so uncomfortable talking about grief and loss, and that puts us at a disadvantage when someone we love dies because it can be difficult to support.
Right.
Or
we
receive
don't know
support.
What to say, or we don't want to say the wrong thing. So if someone dies suddenly, how do we begin to process that? Because that's a different kind of grief when it's so sudden.
Absolutely. And that is such a great question. A sudden or unexpected death is so different, and the body responds differently. We respond differently emotionally, and the way the individual dies is different. And so it does create these unique circumstances. So the first thing that you want to do or to know is that we're often in disbelief or shock, because when a death happens unexpectedly, you wake up in the morning and your life is going one way, and then all of a sudden everything changes. And so kind of the way you think about the world changes as well. Everything that you thought worked, or the life was predictable, and everything will change. And so you want to find a way to stabilize either yourself if it happened to you or your loved one, routine, structure, creating safety, things like that we need to focus on before you can even begin to grieve. Oftentimes there's trauma involved, and you'll have insomnia, ruminations, lack of trust in the world, other people. And so really creating safety is such an important part, and stabilizing the trauma symptoms before you can even begin to focus on the grief, and just finding people who can support you and be with you during that difficult time. It's a really long, lengthy process, and needing the right people and the right type of support is so important.
Absolutely. And you talk about something too called grief attacks, those intense waves of emotion that can sometimes just hit out of nowhere. So what's a technique too that can work during that intense moment?
Yeah. As I mentioned, the body responds differently when you've had an unexpected death, because it dysregulates your emotions. So one moment you can be feeling this way, and the next moment, it's like these big waves, and they're very constant early on, but later on these attacks, or some people call them panic attacks, they've also been called stugs or grief attacks. But what you want to do is find a way to work on regulating your emotions. I've had clients hold frozen oranges, which they think is weird, but
I know, I've not heard of this technique.
Yes, it's a wonderful technique to hold a frozen orange and to focus on the weight of the orange, the coldness, the temperature. I just said that, weight and temperature, excuse me, the coldness. What it'll do is it'll get you to stop thinking about the thoughts that you have in your mind.
Racing, right.
Focus on the cold, and help regulate your breathing, because you'll be taking some deep breaths in and out at the same time. You'll be just focused on how cold it is, and it can help kind of re-regulate your nervous system in an easy way at that moment, kind of a mini version of hydro-cold therapy. Another way is a grounding technique using your senses. So you might want to shut your eyes and name 5 things that you can see, or you are able to see with your eyes shut. 4 things that you can hear. 3 things that you can smell.
Yeah.
The last 2 things that you were able to taste, and also things that you can touch, all to bring you in the here and now and be present and out of that intense wave of grief that you're feeling.
And you have a workbook and a course, so please tell me how people can best use this.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, a sudden and unexpected loss is so different, and there aren't a lot of resources available. And so the Traumatic Loss Workbook can be used independently if you're experiencing this grief or with a therapist. And there's also an online course in which I'm able to narrate and take individual participants through the exercises, and there's some bonus materials not featured in the workbook.
Amazing. And if for being there for someone else too, do you have any quick tips too before we go?
Yes, yes. Oftentimes people feel so judged in their grief. Just be present with them. You don't get over a loss like this. Time doesn't heal it. So nothing judgmental like you should be over it by now. Often we don't know what we need, so just pick up groceries. Can I come over and go for a walk with you? Don't be afraid to talk about a loved one. They haven't forgotten about it. Be in it for the long run.
Absolutely.
It's going to take a long time.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Such an insightful combo.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.